Hi everybody, welcome to our final pre-lab video, video 3 of 3, where we're gonna talk about how to calculate a correlation, a Pearson correlation in SPSS. So I'm gonna go back into my same data set, the data set speed versus strength, that's chapter 5 data set 3. I've already run all of my assumptions and done my write-ups for those, and now I'm ready to run a correlation. So we are looking at a correlation between speed and strength. To run your correlation, you will go to Analyze, Correlate, and Bivariate. Bivariate just means that we're running a correlation with two variables, which is what we're doing here. I'll click on Bivariate. I've already got my variables moved over, but if you don't, you'll move your variables, speed and strength, over into the variables section. You'll notice Pearson correlation is already checked off. That's the only correlation we're gonna run. So we can just leave Pearson checked off and don't check off anything else. We're also going to go into options and make sure our means and standard deviations are checked off. We're gonna run our means and standard deviations at the same time. Theoretically, we could run an infinite number of variables, put an infinite number of variables in this variables section, and SPSS would run a correlation between each of those variables and every other variable. Even though we only run a correlations are only run one at a time, SPSS will do it for an infinite number of variables. It'll just report them out separately one at a time. I'm going to click OK. And SPSS gives me both my descriptive statistics right here and also my correlation table. I'm going to go back into my PDF and we'll talk through what we're looking for and pulling out of my correlation table. SPSS, like I said a minute ago, is going to run every possible combination of data that it can. So it is giving me a correlation between speed and speed as well as speed and strength, and between strength and speed as well as strength and strength. So we have a lot of repetitive data in this table. So you're going to need to know where to pull your values from. And I circled those with each of these boxes. So we have repetitive data right here where it ran strength and speed, speed and strength, and then repetitive data otherwise diagonally where it ran speed with speed and strength with strength to get a perfect correlation. And you can tell it's perfect because we have a perfect one for our correlation coefficient. So where this says Pearson correlation, if we go over to speed and strength, we have our correlation coefficient, and this time it is negative 0.418. We also have a value for significance, telling us whether or not our correlation is significant. So when we're reporting our correlations, we're going to talk about three pieces of information. First of all, is our correlation significant? So we'll compare that to our alpha, our 0.05. If our correlation is greater than, or our significance is greater than our alpha 0.05, we can say that our correlation is not significant. In this case, 0.230 is greater than 0.05, our alpha, so this correlation would not be significant. That's the first piece of information you want to pull out. Second of all, we want to talk about the direction of relationship. So we're looking at the positive or negative sign, or the lack of a negative sign. So right off the bat, we can tell that we do have a negative relationship. So we have a non-significant negative relationship. The third piece of information we want to determine is the strength of our relationship, or the magnitude. And for that, we're going to compare our Pearson correlation, our correlation coefficient, to that table that we had in class. So you're going to want to keep this handy. So if I compare my negative 0.418 to this table, it looks like I have a moderate magnitude of relationship. So at this point, I can tell you that I have a non-significant, moderate, negative relationship between my two variables. And that is going to look like this when you report it. So this is the exact format that you're going to use for your write-up. You can go ahead and copy and paste this exact write-up into your assignment document. Just make sure you are changing the values. I just want you to use this format. So I have a non-significant, negative, moderate relationship between the variables speed and strength. And when we're reporting on correlations, we always put our correlation coefficient, or R, in parentheses behind the sentence, as well as our p-value. And that is what this will look like for running and interpreting correlations. Next, in lab, what we're going to do is do some practice with correlations on your own with me there to help before we actually get into the assignment document for the week. Thanks.